Blog Talk Radio.
Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Fan assassinator! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! A damn shot straight to your brain! Straight to your skull crack! You get down to straight to your brain! Straight to your skull crack! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! I will fly high! 5-star frog splash! You can't stop me! 5-star frog splash! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! It's all about the yin and the yang! The balance, the power, the zen! You can't stop the yin and the yang! The balance, the power, the zen! Drop it down!
You're listening to RVD Radio.
What's up, free thinkers? You are listening to RVD Radio, and I am Rob Van Dam. Week 2 with RVD Radio. Had a good time last week at our premiere, and the high volume of phone calls that came in and listeners and people that log in blew the system. Overloaded the switchboard. That on top of my inexperience of never running the switchboard before, because I didn't even get a test run. It was all live on the air. It was all crazy. But, yeah, we had so many calls that they wanted me to stick around. They signed a couple of producers to the show, and now we're going to make this one of the best shows on Blog Talk Radio, because it is something that I think I'm pretty good at. A lot of people called in and emailed me and said, Rob, you do a good job, man. That's something you're really good at. A lot of people can't do that. And yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of ability to be able to talk on the phone, especially when you can't take the calls and things are fucking up for you, and you got to carry the subject. You got to get your point across with the conversation and trying to learn everything and still masturbate to porn on the internet. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of talent. So it was a good show, though. Sorry for everybody that called in last week and didn't get through, which was about 99% of you. If you were particularly wanting to talk about censorship like we did last week, call in. You know, you can bring it up. I won't probably hang up on you because my feelings on censorship are pretty strong. And most of my topics, they come from the heart. And even if I pick a topic I don't know anything about, maybe I don't even know how I feel about it. Shit, let's discover it together. But you may find I'm a little bit on the opinionated side, strong-minded, and, I am willing to listen to you. I'm willing to listen to your points. Appreciate the calls that are already coming in on the switchboard. And as far as censorship goes, which was last week's topics, if you didn't read my blog, or even if you did, I'm going to tell you how I put it on there. This goes for TV censorship in particular. You can show a tit as long as it's dead or you're operating on it, but not on a beach. Well, unless maybe it's a documentary like Africa or something, But your middle finger, you can show it as long as it's attached to your other fingers, as long as they're all together. But if it gets separated and it stands out, you are not to show it or you'll be censored. I think it's silly. And that's my stance. So if you notice that I use some adult language, it's because I'm an adult and because I use it without the meaning of offense. So hopefully nobody is offended. And if you are, you can call me and tell me you're offended, but I will say it probably might take a bit of an open mind to enjoy my kind of show. Because if you guys continue to listen, then that must mean you dig what's going on here. We had a lot of calls, we had a lot of listeners, a lot of downloads on the archive of last week's show. So this week we'll get an idea on whether everybody comes back or not. Because when it comes to my blog, sometimes I can get hundreds of comments, sometimes I can get 12 on the feedback, because I read the feedback on the blogs. I like it. But I can write that anyway, you know, and really that's more of just like an outlet for me. But when it comes to this takes a little bit of time. I got to be here live, got to plan on a particular live moment with everybody, a lot of coordination. So yeah, I want some calls. I want some people tuning in. Got some guests today to talk about today's subject. We're going to be talking to Chris Nowinski, the genius graduate from Harvard. He's now the head of the Sports Legacy Institute, which is this phenomenal research company up in Massachusetts that studies brains. That's right. It was his company that came through with the determination that Chris Benoit's brain had been damaged and that was a possible cause to explain what had happened. A lot of people didn't like hearing that, but Chris Nowinski was way over he was all over that. The brain damage linked to the depression, paranoia, people acting out of character, eventually suicide. He had linked several athletes before. Chris kind of fit the type, so he did some more research, and that's why they looked at Chris Benoit's brain. So Chris Nowinski is going to be joining us later on, and during that time, we'll have a little time to talk to him, ask him some questions, see what's new with him. I'm actually part of the celebrity board of Sports Legacy Institute. I really believe in the cause, and I want to know a lot more about it. So, Chris Nowinski has talked me into, it didn't take much talking into. Basically, he just said, hey, would you like to be part of this? I said, fuck yeah. One thing we talked about is donating my brain. So you all hear it. You all hear it. If I die, they have the right to look at my brain and see if they can explain why the hell I am the way that I am. I certainly have had a lot of concussions over the years, and it's something that I used to think was funny, It was funny. I just, I laughed at it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being able to show the amount of impact I could take and to show how tough I am, And I still do, It's part of showing off. It's part of being tough, all that. But anyway, there's consequences. So Chris, knowing a lot about the brain, we have him on today. And what we're going to talk a little bit more about today is the brain and the power that it has. Ooh, how's that sound to you guys? The power of the brain, the strength of intention, and how much can it really do? Positive energy, all that. And Chris can actually debate some theories, because I'm a firm believer in positive energy. The law of attraction, I've used it my entire life. I totally believe, that if you're a positive person and if you expect good things and truly believe it, that you vibrate at a certain speed. You kind of send a signal out, and then it attracts like things that vibrate at a similar speed. That's why people, birds of a feather flock together. You see people that are down in the dumps a lot, that are attracted to negative things, and it's also going to affect them. And you'll see that they don't know how to switch their pattern, I wasn't born a pro wrestler. I've actually followed a lot of dreams. I've done a lot of things that would be considered successful by anybody's standards as far as doing things that I've wanted to do, accomplishing life goals. And, there's a belief that successful people are maybe wired a little bit different in their brain. Maybe they are able to believe, or they're able to see the bigger picture something to it, where certain people, they're just negative, they bring other people down around them, and you really don't want to be one of those people. You don't, if you can avoid it. I've always, a lot of people can't even travel with me. You know, back when I was on the road a lot, I would travel by myself mostly. Booker T was a partner, Sabu was a partner, and Dr. Sean Stasiak, you know, with Mike Awesome for a while, who's no longer with us because he got paranoid, depressed, acted out of character, and hung himself. Definitely a candidate for brain damage, and I've lost a lot of my friends, as most people listening know that, and it's amazing to me to think a lot of them, you know, could have done it to themselves by rattling their brain around in their head. Basically, that is what happens with the knockout. Your brain bounces off the inside of your skull, it bruises, you're knocked out, right? You lose consciousness, and that's a goal. Like, that is what you try to do when you're boxing or in MMA. You know, it's kind of crazy when you think about it from a health perspective, and long-term effects usually aren't considered. When a boxer goes off, you know, and gets old, like Muhammad Ali, then sure, people say, oh yeah, he's punch drunk, or whatever they want to call it. They say, you know, he was a boxer, sure. And they don't think anything of it. They think, well, you know, he had a good career, that's what you get. But Chris Nowinski has uncovered commonalities between football players and boxers and wrestlers, MMA guys, different sports. The brain's powerful. I mean, it's got enough energy to, like, run the solar system. And that can't be proven, by the way. I just threw that out there. Don't look that up. But I have read some incredible stuff about, like, the electric pulses in the brain and all that crap. I think that the brain has enough power to overcome just about anything, you know, that's within your physical realm. I do believe if people are feeling bad, that they can make themselves feel good by believing that they feel good. You can't feel bad when you're thinking good, and likewise, you know, you can't really feel good when you're thinking bad, and there is something to that. And I also believe that positive energy and your mind, just your willpower, can do amazing things. All right, I'll share a little story with you. I had a karate instructor at the Battle Creek Budokan way back years ago, and he was trying to tell me that he could focus and grow mental roots through his feet, and I wouldn't be able to lift him. I couldn't budge him off the ground, and I found that hard to believe. I said, I don't know, dude. I'm gonna have to see that one to believe it. He said, okay, hold on. And he concentrated. He closed his eyes. Big breath. Okay, Rob, go ahead. Try and lift me. I hooked him around his waist from behind. I picked him up. Of course I picked him up. He can't change his weight. The fuck is that guy thinking, right? And he says, well, you could tell I was heavier, though, right? You lift weights, so of course you were able to. A lot of people wouldn't have been able to lift me. No, that I think is bullshit. But when it comes to, say, you want to stop something that you're doing, like cigarettes, for instance, okay? A lot of people smoke cigarettes, right? It kills 450,000 of us Americans on an annual basis. They say the nicotine is the most addictive drug. I think the word addiction is thrown around way loosely. I don't really believe in the thought of psychological addiction, the thought that something is stronger than the brain. I understand chemical dependency. I believe that there is a physical dependency, if you want to use addiction to describe, I get this, okay, you have a chemical balance in your system. If you're taking a drug for so long that your balance depends upon it, and then you take it out, well, then you're off balance. Okay, I get that. That's a physical chemistry kind of thing. But when it comes to the mind, and you say, I want to quit smoking, I keep smoking, no, you don't. If you wanted to quit smoking, you'd quit smoking. We have a friend who tried everything for the longest time. She kept saying, I got to quit smoking. She got pregnant, bam! She quit smoking. Just like that. Of course she did. Now she had a reason. Now she really wanted to quit smoking. That's how it is. The thought of being addicted to something is to admit that your mind is weaker than something, and it's a crutch, and it's a comfortable crutch that people enjoy. Oh, I'm addicted to Starbucks. I got to have it every morning. No, you're not. You enjoy Starbucks, and that's good, and that's why you. Hey, I don't know if you can hear my phone ringing through this. That's crazy. Anyway, that's why you go, there's a lot of things that I enjoy. Nothing is stronger than me. If I don't want to do something, I simply don't do it. And that goes with anything, and it always has. I've never had anything stronger than my mind, and I know I'm strong-minded, but I believe that's the power of the mind. I believe that's within everybody. People like to, just say that, oh, I'm helpless, I have an addiction, and there's doctors making a fortune off this shit, I'm a big fan of Dr. Drew's. I like Love Lines, and oh my God, Celebrity Rehab rocks. If you haven't seen that, Celebrity Rehab is a great fucking show. But you can go to Dr. Drew and you can say, "Oh, Dr. Drew, I'm jerking off too much. I can't stop jerking off." And oh, well, you have a sickness. You have a sickness. Did your parents touch you when you were little? And he signs you up. He makes a shitload of money. You go into rehab where you can pick up the habit of smoking cigarettes. A lot of people start smoking cigarettes in rehab. They say it's the most addictive drug. It kills way more people than any other drug, legal or not. If you haven't heard, 450,000 Americans straight up from smoking cigarettes. Over 150,000 we lose to alcohol, and then it goes way down to like 1,000 people a year from aspirin and crazy shit. Someone overdosed on water recently. By the way, no one has ever overdosed on marijuana. All these little tidbits of information that I throw in, you'll see, are going to be future episodes because I have a lot to talk about, as you're learning right now, which is why I'm doing this show. That's why I'm doing this show. I got a bunch of phone calls. I'm going to go to them pretty soon and get their opinion on some of the same matter. And I'd like to hear, what people think about this. And, some people are going to be offended because I'm going to offend people because they're not going to agree with me. And like I said, you have to have an open mind probably to enjoy my show. I enjoyed the fuck out of the movie Religulous with Bill Maher. Did I just lose all my calls? A lot of theaters don't even want to play that. I endorse the idea of provoking thought. I don't agree with everything Bill Maher said. Absolutely not. He made some damn good points. That Jesus guy he talked to made some damn good points. But people that are afraid to think, I don't get that, and I won't condone that. I can't, It's okay to think. That's why we have our brain. That's why our brain is so powerful. It could possibly create everything that's in existence, and that's a thought from quantum physics of how our thoughts actually become things, and we'll be talking about that as well. I'm going to go to a phone call right now, just in case you guys are sick of hearing me talk, which could be a good chance. I don't know. I'm new to this. I still got to get your feedback because I can keep talking. I got a lot to say. And the religion thing, by the way, I will touch back on that. We'll do shows on that, on God, on religion. But I wanted to bring that up because it's now. It's today. I mean, this is going on right now, and there's never been an October 15th, 2008 before. So we got to talk about today. We're going to talk about how fucked up the government is. In fact, next week, that's going to be our topic, the U.S. government. We're going to talk about the New World Order, the theories behind that. I've got some interesting guests that are experts on that. And today, I'm going to talk about addiction. I'm going to talk about the power of the mind. And I'm going to go right now to 706, which is Georgia. I used to live in Augusta, Georgia. I'm guessing possibly, could this be, is it Daniel Henry?
Yes, or Dan Masters, the long-lost relative of Chris Masters. Hopefully one day I'll meet him. RVD, great show last week. Again, loving this week. And I don't know, I'm looking forward to see what happens to me over the next couple of weeks because I was released from 2 companies that I work with over the past 3 days for being an individual and for being so outspoken as I have been around.
Well, they didn't actually fire you and say, hey, it's because you're an individual, right? What was the reason?
No, because I'm too controversial, outspoken. I've always said how I feel about it.
And we need specifics. What happened?
Well, I was working for a wrestling organization, if you can call it an organization, in the state of Georgia. And I guess I said some things on another radio show this past week that the individuals involved with the company didn't particularly like. So,
all right, we're dancing all around that. I guess you don't feel too comfortable telling us exactly what happened, but you feel like you were screwed over just because...
Oh, no. You know, in the wrestling, there's something called a rib, a joke. Sometimes when they go too far, I guess people take it personal. It wasn't a personal issue. I liked the guy, but, you know, I said he was boring.
Well, of all the names.
Of course, I've never been a big fan of a lot of ribs either. But if it's somebody that's a real good friend of mine and it's in good taste, then ha-ha. But, of course, I've got many a story of tasteless, way too far unnecessary and completely ridiculous ribs from the dressing room. So, yeah, I'm hoping you didn't shit in somebody's bag.
Oh, no. Nothing that extreme.
Right on. So what's up, man? You listening to the topic? You got any opinions on the mind power? And how about addiction? I think addiction is just thrown out there loose, just like coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in synchronicities. Everything does happen for a reason. I've been studying it. But I can use the word coincidence just to talk about the same thing so you know what I mean. I can use the word addiction so you know what I'm talking about, but it doesn't mean the same thing to me that it does to everybody else.
Do you feel that someone, I guess, that had a grandfather and a father that maybe drank and had a problem with alcohol, does that necessarily mean that they may have a problem with it also?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, there is no necessarily. I mean, everything is an individual circumstance, and there's one thing about saying have a problem. I'm not saying people don't have problems, okay? I am a believer in proper usage of drugs. Thank God for modern medicine. Without penicillin, we would all be dying at the age of 25, which is your age. And, so anyway, we've come a long way, and now the doctors are finding ways, to increase your manhood, your drive, everything that would fight AIDS, and people want to fight it, No, I do believe there's proper usage, and then there's abuse with anything. There's moderation. The Iron Sheik used to say, moderation is okay, Bubba. I can't imitate him that good, but that was his thing. He used to say everything as long as it's moderation. I believe that. Usage, proper usage is fine. We have drugs because they work. So I'm glad that they're there. And, as far as having a problem, if you're abusing them, then, yeah, you fall into that category where you have a problem. What I'm saying is you're not addicted. You could always stop. I could tell you millions of stories of people who have stopped when they needed to. When the drug becomes more important than anything else in their life, and it shouldn't be that way, then they have to take a hard look at their list of priorities. I believe I heard recently, and I think this came from Dr. Drew on some. He was on something. He was on The View. My Sonia watches The View. She's doing great, by the way. And he said he would define addiction as when the thing that you're drawn to causes problems in your social life. He said then it's addiction. Well, that's bullshit. Okay. For instance, if your girlfriend has a hard time with whatever you're doing, cigarettes, pornography, marijuana, whatever. It could be fucking bird watching, but if your girlfriend's going to be giving you shit over it just because she doesn't understand it and she's going to complain and try and change you because you're not exactly her
her picture-perfect ideal of what her boyfriend should be, that doesn't mean you're addicted. Not at all. Sure, you got problems socially because your girl's giving you shit over it, but that doesn't mean that you're addicted to it. And in times like that, it could be the girl could be like a real bitch, and it could be that the other thing is more important. Maybe you get more energy from it. So the word addiction is used way too loose, and by definition, it does not make sense to me. So I will say, and that's my stance on it. So the guy you're talking about, let's say the kid's parents drank. Is he going to drink too? Maybe, monkey see, monkey do, motherfucker. That doesn't mean that you're born addicted to something, I don't know what the hell my mom and dad did, and if I am born with something because, say they were all jacked up on heroin and somehow it's in my blood, well, then we're back to what I was talking about when I said, sure, the physical dependency and your own personal chemical balance and breakdown and makeup, if that's changed or altered, then you're going to feel something from that. Yeah, that's...
RVD, motherfucker!
Know what I'm saying, Dan?
I know what you're saying, man. This is going to be good stuff. I'm glad you're giving it to the people for free. You're not going to charge for radio sometime soon, are you?
No, dude, I'm not charging for the radio. I mean, I can't.
I love it, man.
It's blog. No, and I don't. I wouldn't charge for anything that if I could get it out, because it's more important for me to get it out there. I wish that RVD TV could go out there to for everybody. There's production costs, and I got a lot of celebrities on there, and we're filming and stuff, and I don't, this is my idea here. This radio show is a good way for me to be able to speak to a lot more people, because it is free. And
well, you wanted to do a radio show for at least 10 years now that I know of.
Yes, and I would like to do this full time. I've been looking forward to this since last week. Chris Masters too. He's been saying, yeah, man, it was so much fun. I could see doing this a lot more, and I don't think right now I could do it every single day for a certain time, but then that would be business, and business is business, But I'm glad that I can reach out to everybody, like this, and I don't want anybody to think, that I'm just using this to plug shit.
Thousands of people waiting, so I'll let you see your thing.
Complete unlimited access to the Extreme Archive Vault, containing every episode ever fucking filmed.
Excellent. I'll let you take all the calls, bro. Appreciate it. Text you soon.
Right on, Dan.
Sweet.
Watch RVD TV at robvandam.com.
Alrighty. Do I got a caller from Ohio? Columbus, Ohio, perhaps?
Then, Meister, can you hear? Then, Meister, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Is this Joe? No.
No.
Sounds like Joe. I can hear you though. What's going on, free thinker?
You might remember me, Zen Meister. This is Nikki Heyman.
Oh, hello, Nikki Heyman. Of course I remember you. How are you?
I'm doing all right, and I'm going to take a moment to say something about last week's show.
Okay, and before you do, let me explain to everybody who I'm talking to. As you drive in to the back of the arenas where the wrestlers park, and as there's hardcore fans hang out in the back to say hi, sometimes to get autographs and pictures, sometimes to give gifts, whatever. But when you go on the loop and you travel all around, sometimes you see some of these same hardcore fans over and over and over again. Nikki Heyman is one of them that I look forward to seeing all the time. She dresses just like my old boss and good friend, Paul Heyman, and always got a smile when I would see you, Nikki. So I always tried to be cool to you, but then again, I'm cool to everybody because that's part of my own personal genetic makeup.
RVD, motherfucker!
You wouldn't have to have on your soundboard a "you fucked up" chant for you banging on the soundboard all last week. I was trying to get through.
I need that, and I need a Fonzie saying, "That's right, Daddy." I'll have it next week.
Now, I wanted to get your opinion. We're talking about addictions here. Where do you draw the line for addiction and habit? Because some people, addiction turns into a habit, or a habit turns into an addiction.
A habit.
You have a line there.
Yes, a habit is something that you enjoy doing. It becomes incorporated in your regular routine, and you kind of count on it as being in your routine, like one of the legs of your table. So when it gets kicked out, you lean towards that way, and you go, whoa, wait, what happened? And you kind of freak out, but it's not any kind of chemical thing. It's no physical problem, and it's also not like a mentally like a complex chemical balance. It's nothing. It's just something that you're used to doing. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, I'm used to waking up and seeing my wife every single morning. If I wake up and she's not there, I might be like, hey, where's Sonia? And that can be applied towards anything. It could be a walk. It could be that you take a walk around your neighborhood every single night, and you've done it for 8 years. Every night when the sun goes down, you like to take a little walk around there. So you tell people, oh, I'm addicted to my walk. If I don't get my walk, I'm just crazy. I got to release that stress. Well, yeah, it's a stress reliever. It's a good thing. It's a source of positive energy for you. You enjoy doing it, and you should, but you're not addicted to it. Are you still with me, Nikki Heyman?
Of course I'm still here. I just didn't want to interrupt you in the middle of your rant. Oh, I mean your discussion.
well, yeah, so that's where I draw the line right there, is habits are like hobbies that kind of like become incorporated into your regular routine, and you like subconsciously you go through that routine, and you plan on going through that routine. That's all a habit is. Addiction is bullshit. Yeah, so you said you wanted to comment on last week. Was there something last week too that I'm sure you were one of the many callers last week?
Yeah, in fact, I was the 614. You were trying to get through the phone, I'm pretty sure. What I was going to say is that I'm surprised in all the discussion of censorship, you didn't bring up George Carlin and the Seven Dirty Words tirade, along with the expanded version he did at one of his routines a few years later.
Perhaps you would like to introduce that to RVD Radio for me. Do you have those handy? Do you have those 12 words handy?
No, I do not have them handy, although I know that one of them was, I know that he's fucked twice. Tits was in there. The C word wasn't, okay, cunt wasn't in there, but I'm sure it was implied. Oh, I don't have the routine memorized, unfortunately. My favorite routine of his was baseball versus football. But there was an article recently. Yeah.
That actually was a sound bite. When I went to start downloading sound bites, I had the option downloading George Carlin's words that you can't say, and I did think about it, but it didn't make the cut. But yeah, obviously he understood way back then. It's just words, and it should be what you're talking about. If you don't want us to talk about the vagina, then say, hey, don't talk about the vagina, but don't try and tell me what I can call it. You're infringing upon my rights, and I don't mean civil rights. I mean my fucking birthright, my human right, my ability to speak with a mouth, with exhaling and forming words using my tongue and lips. You're going to take that away from me? That is bullshit. No,
I'm with you. We're in the First Amendment says I can't say any of those words.
Yeah, God
First
bless
Amendment ended in a period.
Exactly. God bless George Carlin. I saw him in Las Vegas a couple years ago live, so I was glad to be able to see him, and hopefully he's somewhere better now.
I think he's laughing at the whole concept and probably thanking you for bringing something like this up, because it is important. Yes, there are times where I feel a little uncomfortable saying some of those words in front of people, but that's something that's been ingrained in me. I'll give you a perfect example. As a matter of fact, you brought up me attending shows. We were at my boyfriend and I attended a show just about a month ago, and we had some idiot who refused to sit down. We could not get him to. I guess he wasn't listening, and finally, my boyfriend, who is a God-fearing man, started saying, "Hey, fucker, sit down." Hey, shithead, are you even listening to me? Asshole, sit down. This guy, next to the gentleman standing, turns around and says, hey, I got a 9-year-old kid sitting next to me. Well, so that 9-year-old kid already knows all those words. And the guy still isn't sitting down.
Okay, now here's something about that, all right? Because if you heard the clip from RVD TV last week, I was speaking with Taboo from Black Eyed Peas and my agent, Kevin Turner. And I have to admit, Taboo made one point that I actually understood that I never thought of before, because I'm asking him, what does this serve in society? What function? Why are you going to even invent words and then say you shouldn't say them? I don't get it. And what he said, coming from a parent's perspective, was that if he uses these words that he has held for reserve, then his son knows that he's really serious. And as an example, he said that, he doesn't swear in front of his kid. But he said his kid brought home some bad grades, and he said, man, Justin, you really fucked up this week. And that's all he had to say. And then his kid knew, like, oh, wow, man, I really messed up, man. Dad used a word. And I actually had to bow down for a second and say, wow, I understand that. I mean, thank you for actually explaining something. So maybe these words are invented and given this power so that you can use them on reserve when you need to. I kind of get that. I mean, I have a lot of things to say against that, but that's the only thing that even made sense to me. So now in your example, if that's what it is, then don't we want that 9-year-old kid to know that the dad is using a word because he really means it right now, which was the lesson that I learned? Don't you want to swear in front of the kid then so the kid knows, oh, well, Dad says sit the fuck down because he's really serious and he's an adult and he used one of those words on reserve because he's serious. Okay, if that's what it means, then use it.
And that's kind of how I was raised. My parents didn't start cussing in front of me until I was 15 or 16, although I knew what most of those words were. This day, I still never heard my dad say fuck.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever heard my mother say fuck.
I don't have any children. Sonia and I, although we've been happily together for 12 wonderful years, married 10, we don't have any children, and I don't know what kind of parent I would make, but my nonconformity, if you will, I believe would raise a very open-minded kid. I'm not going to agree or do things that a lot of traditional parents do. I kind of, not that I'm having kids anyway, but for the sake of discussion, I don't know why you use a bar of soap and wash your kid's mouth out when he uses a word, because he's just using a word, and if you tell him, hey, you know what, don't use that word around us, okay, whatever, but it's just a fucking word. Right? Yeah, well,
that's
for
right.
calling in, Nikki.
And thank you for your time, Zen Meister, and thanks for putting up with my nonsense. Remember, unique is the best compliment anybody could give anyone.
I appreciate the hell out of that. I love it when you call me Zen Meister, and I appreciate your feedback on my blog and all the years of work. So keep on listening.
I'll be back. You know it.
Hey, she kind of sounded like Arnold with that, I'll be back. Not really, though, but it did kind of prompt me to turn into a retarded soundbite that I grabbed.
I'll be back.
All right, so now I'm going to go to Massachusetts. 413. Speak to me. You're not going to... Yeah, talk to me, bitch. Oh, I got hung up on. I wouldn't normally be that rude, but I think I know who that was. A friend of mine. But people that want to call in, you have a good chance of getting through today, not like last week. The switchboard.
You fucking asshole.
Hey, did you just get right through without me even putting you on? That was awesome. That's probably what my producers are doing for me. So,
what's your phone, you prick?
what's going on, Officer Keenan?
Blowing up the spot, man.
Oh, thanks, man. I just identified you, so now you're going to watch what you say, aren't you?
You better use the voice changer, the Witness Protection program of the RVD radio show.
How's it going then on the East Coast?
Nice, man. Nice, man. Not too
Are
bad.
you enjoying the show?
Yeah, always good. Hey, is that Nowinski on the line with you?
He's not yet. I actually forgot to call him, so what I'm going to do is call him when I play a clip from RVD TV in a few minutes and ask him to call into the show. I talked to him about it yesterday. I told him I'd give him the number and shit today, and totally forgot. I was out riding my bike, Redondo Beach, enjoying the hell out of the West Coast, and I just strolled in like right before the show, and that's something I'm working on. But here I am, and there you are.
Geez, Rob, you weren't there for 3 hours practicing?
No, that's not really my style. You know, I go with the flow. I come in, and I always operate best under pressure.
RVD, motherfucker!
Were you using foul language today?
I was using language that certain people would consider foul, but I'd like to know your opinion on today's subject, Officer Keenan, because you're a police officer. You obviously have your run-ins with people that are fucked up on drugs, and I'm not even going to ask you if alcohol makes people misbehave a hell of a lot more than marijuana, because I already know the answer to that. Everybody does. But these people that you might even arrest over and over and over again, it could be that these people, the same people, they stay in that same pattern of life. Is it because they're addicted and can't quit?
Twofold question, honestly, with alcohol. As I'm very aware of it, it's you got to make some sort of a spiritual connection to whatever you get your energy from to get away from that stuff, and you got to man the fuck up, and you got to say I ain't doing this no more. And the combination of the two is what gets you up: booze or drugs or ice cream or whatever your problem is. It's been my experience. People that are addicted to things are trying to fill some sort of a void in their life.
That makes a lot of sense.
Whether they're using food or drugs or crack or heroin or OxyContin or whatever the fuck it is. But, I mean, I can tell you from my professional experience, I've never seen a marijuana addict crash a car through a fucking school bus or anything, you know? I don't even think I've ever seen a marijuana addict, to be honest with you.
Thank you, because that's exactly what I was going to say.
I don't think there's such a thing.
Neither do I. Neither do I. As a matter of fact, I know that's... Appreciate you agreeing with the truth, which is what that is. And so, you know, as I mentioned, I mean, I believe, I understand a chemical dependency, you know, and alcohol is a fucking chemical. It's a fucking drug. Just because it's legal, because the government makes so much money from alcohol and cigarettes that they don't want you to know it's a drug, which is why they call marijuana the gateway drug. They say people tried that first. Fuck no, they drank first and smoked cigarettes first. It is, in fact, it's a very powerful drug. I believe, you know, that your chemical makeup can count on a certain ingredient, you know, like if you throw an extra fucking ingredient into the mix and it's there for a long time and then you take it out, well, it's going to be a little bit different, but it's something that can be adjusted to. I'm not saying, you know, that it's not a struggle, but people use the word addiction and they throw it out there for everything. They'll say, oh, I'm addicted to my soap operas. I have to get home. I have to, seriously. No, you fucking don't. Am I right?
I'm addicted to breathing, I'm addicted to food, and I'm addicted to water. You know what I'm saying?
I think I understand what you're saying. A little
sure,
sleep.
Yeah, you know.
Probably a little sleeping, too.
No, but I mean, yeah, I'm addicted to this. The word addiction has become a crutch word for a lot of people that just don't want to man the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that there's a lot of business made off of that. I think that there's psychiatrists that make a shitload of money off of telling you that you have a sickness just because I don't know, like I said, you know, you're watching porn, whatever. And then I think, you know, the pharmaceuticals make a shitload of money off of it too, you know, and that all goes right back to you damn Republicans. But that's bullshit, and it's bullshit, and it's wasted money. It's a lot of wasted energy, and people do need help. Certain people need more help than other people. You know what I mean? I mean, a lot of us have better control of ourselves. We're better connected, and you know exactly what I mean by that, Officer Keenan. And, you know, other people do need a little guidance, but it really gets played out. It really, really gets thrown out there and prostituted like a motherfucker. The word addiction can be used to make anybody just feel better about something that they might feel a little bit of guilt about. You know, it's that's how it is.
Well, kids could always get through school, and I don't mean to sound like an old fuck because we're not that old, but I mean, you go to a school now, every other kid's on medicine. I mean, what they call ADD and ADHD used to be bad behavior when we were kids, you know?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's another markup, I guess, for for the pharmaceuticals, for big business, and yeah, I mean, I'm all about the truth. That's all. I mean, maybe. Hey, what up, yo?
What up, bro?
Maybe if we did take a sudden change, like all of a sudden stopped bullshit agendas and put energy into legalizing marijuana. Let's say we stopped telling them that they have the what'd you just say? The Chris Masters just arrived, and you know what? You threw off by talking about people that don't have attention. Is that ironic?
Yeah, ADD, that ADD. We all got that shit.
Yeah, so, but anyway, okay, so maybe if we all of a sudden said, okay, that's bullshit, let's stop giving kids Xanax, let's stop, and okay, hey, let's stop doing this. I do understand that there's a parallel between that and what I'm talking about the physical dependence, because then, like, let's take the economy, for instance. I'm always like, hey, if we legalize marijuana, we'd stop spending $7 billion a year to fight it. Plus, there'd be another $30 billion in revenue if we taxed it based on today's national usage. And anyway, so what I don't throw into there is that if we did legalize that, we would be kicking the crutch out of the pharmaceutical companies. They could lose like 50 to 80% of the money that they're doing. So basically, if we did something good like legalizing marijuana, it could have the same effect as if we're taking out that crutch, that chemical that your body depends on when you have a physical dependency, because that would be the government then. Boom, all of a sudden, we could lose trillions of dollars in bullshit, dishonest pharmaceutical sales, and then would it be worth it to the government? No. Would people be able to get help morally and not be blowing all their income and have a better quality of life? Maybe, but we could be more fucked up economically. So it's kind of like the government has a physical addiction to rip people off and to absorb as much money from every bullshit avenue that they can.
Well, the biggest fucking farce in the war on drugs, and war doesn't work for anything. I mean, anything you apply pressure, it's failed miserably. Now take Afghanistan, right?
Yes.
Since we fucked up Afghanistan, right, heroin has been reduced in price. When I first started this business, heroin was $15 a bag. You can buy heroin in the streets of Boston for $3 a bag now.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, there's a really good documentary about Ricky Ross, who was the scapegoat for the CIA when they were during the Iran concert hearings. And it's what is that called? It's Ricky Ross. You need to Google it. But anyway, dude, I got a whole bunch of calls, Brian. I appreciate you calling in. And also, the Masterpiece just walked into the room. So I want to introduce Chris Masters to today's RVD radio episode. What up, Chris?
What's going on? Thanks for having me.
Hey.
Feedback, dude. Let's turn that one
tell
off.
Tell the Masterpiece who the strongest guest ever in the Van Dam-Gymnasium was before I go.
The strongest guest ever in the Van Dam-Gymnasium was, oh, shit. Did you hear that feedback? Was the whole fucking show, and that's me.
All right. RVD, motherfucker, part 2.
Much peace, motherfuckers.
Thanks, Brian. Oh, dude, what's up with this feedback? Didn't we have
you to stand away from you?
Didn't we have two phones last week?
I think we're cool now.
What's going on, Chris Masturbator?
Maybe I just need to stand away from you.
Maybe so.
All right.
But you know what? It smells better that way. I'm just joking.
I don't want you invading my space.
You can always grab that handset right there, too.
You guys sound like two fags.
Yeah, we actually haven't made it past first base yet.
Sounds like a real uncomfortable.
I'm going to take another call, Chris. I got a bunch of phone calls here. Things are working much Much better pace this week than last week.
Take it.
We're talking about addiction. We're talking about...
Oh, boy.
Yeah, brother. It's a touchy subject.
Deep stuff.
It is, man. And I don't know if you know where I stand on it, man, but I think it's bullshit because I think that anybody can do anything they want or they can not do anything they want. I don't believe that there's something stronger than your fucking mind unless it's actually like a chemical...
Well, I agree with you, actually, and I know that's where you stand on it, but I kind of figured you were going to say that. It's a mind over matter thing. I mean, there is such a thing as physical dependence after you've taken something for a prolonged period of time, but it's just got to be, you got to convince yourself in your mind that I want to be a healthy person, I want to be done with this in order to make that step. But, you know, ultimately, mind over matter.
Mind over matter. Yeah.
That's right.
Let's see what this person thinks from 631 because they've been there the whole time waiting, and I'm assuming they want...
What is 631 area code?
631. I don't know. Is that Chicago?
I don't know. Maybe they'll tell us.
What's up, caller? You're on RVD Radio.
What's up?
Not a whole lot, free thinker. We're just fucking chilling. I'm here with the masterpiece, Chris Masters.
Hey, what's 631 area code?
631.
631.
Long Island, New York. Long Island.
Well,
right on. Well, thanks for the call, man. Did you...
West side.
Yeah. Well,
all I got to say.
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, New York is east side, but...
this is, yeah, I'm representing west side.
Indeed. So, thanks for calling in on the second episode ever of RVD Radio, man. Are you enjoying it?
Pretty good. I listened to the show last week, got a newsletter from Blog Talk Radio, saw your name in there, and I figured I'll call in because, well, Rob Van Dam, one of the greatest wrestlers in WWE. So, figured I'll call in.
For sure, man. I actually will live up to that, Chris. As you know, because you're a big fan of RVD's, I was actually one of the best, but I just don't want to do that right now because...
Just because you're hung like a moose doesn't mean you got to do porn.
So, you got a question, comment? What do you think about addiction?
Well, it's kind of bad people all over the world smoking, drinking alcohol, doing drugs. I don't think it's pretty good, especially that it pretty much just damages them and eventually they die from it. So they're just wasting their lives away doing stupid things.
Yeah, and it's choice. That's the thing. It's always choice, and anything else I think is denial because it's not so much, you know, should they do this, should they do that, is this good for them, is this bad, but really, aren't they doing it because they want to? Aren't they making the conscious decision, you know? I mean, nobody ever fucking made me smoke pot, although I will say the first time I got high, first time I ever smoked marijuana when I was 21 years old, it was on a wrestling trip in Jamaica. Totally, I gave in from peer pressure. It was because the other older wrestlers like Jimmy Backlund and Mark Starr, that prick, and
you can't say no. We know that.
I did, and they wouldn't hear it. They were like, "Come on, you fucking prune down. It's not going to kill you. Everyone else hit it. Fucking hit it. Hit it. You're in Jamaica. It's not going to kill you." And yeah, I gave in to peer pressure, and wow, I hit it once, and then maybe hit it one more time. I was gone. I was staring at this wall, and I could not look away. And I was like, "Oh my God, people are going to notice that I'm just staring at the wall. I'm a fucking idiot. You know, why can't I look away?" It was like I was watching TV, and I was paranoid. A lot of people, by the way, will say, "Oh, I know what marijuana does to me because I tried it once." No, my first experience was nothing like the experience that me and Masterpiece are about to have here. And it's just, and also, by the way, there's so many different kinds of weed, too, and people don't take that into consideration. But really, that's, you know, a whole nother episode, man. We will talk about that for sure. But thing is, anybody that they go to rehab because and this was on Celebrity Rehab, too. It was one of the guests there. She went to rehab because she said that she was addicted to marijuana. Okay, and here's the thing. Okay, well, number one, she's not addicted to it, but if she needs a little help, like if she wants to go there, and that's going to help her break out of her routine, and it's going to help her mentally get stronger, you know, so that she can reprioritize. Okay, whatever. But meantime, Dr. Drew's going to talk about what a sickness she has in her brain and all this bullshit. And here's the thing, she started smoking cigarettes in rehab. She picked up the habit of smoking cigarettes, which is legal because the government makes big money off of it, and it kills. It fucking kills.
Well, you know, Rob, I actually kind of want to say something on that. You're talking about rehab. As you know, I've been through rehab before, and it's kind of it's funny because marijuana is looked at by anybody who's in rehab. If you go into rehab for marijuana, it's like a rib. I mean, like literally there was one guy who came in when I was there, and that of all things it's just a rib. You know what I mean? That's not something. There's not really physical dependence to weed. That's on a whole nother level, organic, as we say. So, I mean, it's looked at, and just like you said, people pick up cigarette habits. You go to rehab for smoking marijuana, and then you go there and pick up a cigarette habit. You know what I mean? And like, nobody's winning there. You know?
Yeah, it's something that people don't even think about, though. So I don't mind telling you because I'm an observer. Like Officer Keenan tells me, everybody is a fucking teacher, so I learn, and I don't mind pointing out shit, that maybe you thought of, maybe you haven't thought about, but dude.
Watch RVD TV at RobVanDam.com.
Hey, so New York, you have anything to add, or shall I go on to the next caller?
Well, I did hear you before talking about all these supposed bad words, the curses. And I heard before a caller came on and started talking about the George Carlin routine about it. Yep. And I do have it here, if it would be okay to play. I do have the routine here on my computer.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Are you going to put the phone up to the speaker?
I could do that.
Let's just do that for Nikki Heyman, who called in wondering why I didn't play that last week. The subject was censorship. That's also something that close to my heart, so it's never going to be really off topic to bring up shit like that. So go ahead and play that for everybody. These are George Carlin's, I think, 12 words that you can never say.
Well, it's 7 words. It's about like 9 minutes long.
Oh my gosh.
That's a little too time
to me. Actually don't have time for that. I thought it was just something he ran off, like chick, fuck, neck, chop.
One more hour. We need to go 2 hours.
We are going.
We're doing 2 hours?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, you're doing 1 hour.
Oh yeah, well, this LA trial, you listen.
Hey, but hey, thanks for the call. And if you get that set up and you want to just run those words or something, then hell yeah, we'll play them in honor of.
No, I got it up right now. It's just the really beginning. That's really the basic part that he talks about. Other than that, it's really just
let's hear it.
Other stuff.
Let's hear it.
So the words, as I say, shit this fucker and cocksucker motherfucker tits fart turd and twat. Now, motherfucker came off the list immediately, the first day. In fact, I had a call from an English language purist. Some guy he had to talk, he got on the phone. He tells me I have a duplicate on the list. I have a duplication. He says, motherfucker is a duplication of the word fuck, technically, because fuck is the root form, motherfucker being derivative, therefore it constitutes duplication. I said, hey, motherfucker, how did you get my phone number anyway?
All right. Thank you for that. Thank you, George Carlin. And we will carry on the spirit of freedom of speech. I got a call here from 909 I'm going to take. You know where 909 is, Chris Masters.
California 8.
Yes, sir. Let's go to the Inland Empire. What up? Who's calling?
Oh, my gosh. What's up, RVD and Masturbator? This is Vampire Girl.
What?
Oh, my God.
What's up, Shelly?
How you doing?
Good.
All right, listen. Let everybody know who's calling in here, Shelly. Hold on.
Okay.
Shelly was in ECW, the new bogus ECW, when I was there. She was Vampire Girl. She managed Kevin Thorne. And I used to have so much fun when I was in the ring with Kevin Thorne trying to make you laugh.
Oh, my gosh, I know, you jerk, because I was so high when you were doing that.
That was a good time. Anyway, so since then you've been in TNA, and then you're doing like some acting and some movies and different stuff. And, Shelly and Sonya are very good friends. I saw the other day that the auctioned off meeting with Shelly that you're going to be giving part of that money to the City of Hope, which is where Sonya gets her chemo treatments. And I just thought that's just really awesome of you, to do that in honor of her. That's the place that we certainly spend a lot of time on. And I have them in mind, for future big projects that I'd like to attach some fundraising organizations to, because when it comes to the treatments, you got to go in there to get, and you're hooked up for, depending on what you get, but she'll be hooked up there for her colon cancer that she had for like about 3 or 4 hours sitting in there, and they're overloaded. I mean, sometimes they have them sitting in a fucking chair because they don't have a room for them, with a curtain or anything, and it's just bogus. It's ridiculous for this being like one of the top cancer research centers in the country. It's amazing how understaffed they are, and how much they really could really use energy and attention in certain areas. So that's awesome though. And what that is, that auction that you're doing is it's a meeting, right? Somebody can win a lunch with you or something.
Yeah, dude. It's like, they get to meet with me. We'll all have something to eat, whatever, and they get some stuff autographed. We'll have stuff. We'll have an 8x10 and like our own stuff and whatever they want to bring for me to autograph with them, and just kick it with them and have a good little time. And half that money will go to the City of Hope.
That's awesome. And where can they bid on this?
It's on eBay. And if you go to my MySpace, which my only MySpace, the only one I have, there's just one, is MySpace.com.
You gotta clarify that nowadays.
Yeah, totally. MySpace.com /
I have imposters, I think.
I know. Funtime Shelly, and it's SHELLY. No EY, just LLY. That's the only one, and there's a link on there right to the eBay link.
That's awesome. And how long is the auction going for? Do you know when it cuts off?
On Sunday.
On Sunday.
Here's the thing. Can we just talk about that for a second? Okay, this is like not the first time we did this. The first time we did it, there was fake bidders, and so it messed everything up. So then we had to redo it again.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
And then, so we tried again, and then eBay got pissed at us, and they cut it off like a couple hours before because they said the wording was incorrect. So then we did it again. Well, and then by the time we did it again, it was like, gosh, we only had so many days left, and it was just a big mess. So me and Tony, the guy that is in charge of the whole thing, said, look, we're going to do this one more time. Because you know what? I think everything happens for a reason. So there's a reason why all those times it didn't work. So here it is. There it is. Let's do it.
Shelly, I want to know, so what is this? Is a date or a one night out with
Shelly?
It's not a date,
you nerd. It's not a date.
To know if he can bid. You're not.
Okay.
No, I'm not saying for me. I'm just kind of curious here, actually. I think the people
you
want to
bid?
know. I mean, there's a lot
you want to bid, Masters?
Aww. Right now, I want to know what's what is it? Is this a date or a movie or just a dinner?
No. We're going to go to a place, like a nice little restaurant, in L.A., and we'll just, hang out and, chit-chat a little bit. It's like a private autograph session is what it is. It's like, you go to these autograph signings. We can't sit there and talk to everybody for a good hour because then we'd be there forever. But, I know you guys, chit-chat it up just like I do with people, whatever. So
yeah, right.
it's a chance for...
Yeah, you'll do whatever you're there for them, and you're going to be generous if they say, hey, I want to get a Polaroid taken. You'll say, all right,
totally.
I'll sign it for you, and I'll sign your ass, and I'll put you in a headlock, maybe slam you on the table.
Yeah. Things like that, normal things, things that happen every day. You know what I mean? So it's just so that's why when people think just because I'm a chick that it's only guys are bidding. No, whoever's my fan. I don't care. Who cares?
Shelly, when is this event again?
What?
When is this? What's the date?
Now till Sunday, right?
Now till Sunday, yeah.
Oh, boy. Better start your bidding, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Because, what's most important is that it goes to the City of Hope. Because I just did an interview yesterday, so if I'm repeating myself to certain people, I don't care. It makes me want to puke that you can go somewhere and, on certain people's cell phones, if you hear a song and you don't know what it is, you can put it up in the air and it downloads it and tells you who it is and they're different albums. But then, for cancer, there's they can't figure out with Sonya, all these tests, and it took for them having to really go deep in because they didn't know what was wrong. They didn't know what was wrong. It's what the fuck?
No, you're right. What that is that it's all the separate agendas. But truly, can you imagine if we had one global agenda? Like if we all focused on one problem, how quickly we could fucking solve it, you know? Instead of debating about shit that nobody ever is going to know the truth about until they die, maybe then. You know what I mean? Right. Listen, good luck with that auction. And then we got to ask you, what do you think about addiction? I don't know if you're listening to the show or not, Shelley, but I think that addiction is bullshit. People use that and they say, "Oh, I'm addicted to this. I'm addicted to that." You know, I gotta have my fucking whatever. And really, it's bullshit. And I think that, you know, if they say, "Oh, you know, I need to stay away from chocolate, but I can't help it. I'm addicted to it." No, bullshit. If you really wanted to stay away from chocolate, you just wouldn't eat it.
For sure. No, I agree, because here's the thing. The reason why I have my medical marijuana card is because I had a bad dealing with prescription pills, and it wasn't something, like, I was always the type of person growing up, like, I never smoked, I never drank, like, I just, like, that wasn't my thing, like, my friends would smoke or whatever, or they would drink, and I was like, you know, whatever, it's just not my thing. So it's not like I ever, like, had that little trial period where I was like, oh, it's the cool thing to do. It just never appealed to me. And then when, you know, I got into wrestling and hurt my back and then got hooked on pills, you know, when I realized that those, like, the outcome of me doing that was just bad, then that's when you told me about marijuana and everything, and then that's when I made the choice to say, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore, and, you know, for my back, my pains, whatever, this natural thing can help. Right on. That's what I'm going to do. So I made that choice. And I know some people need to go to rehab and stuff, and that's cool and all, but, like, I get what you're saying, though, because that's almost like what I personally did in my story to tell is I just made the decision when I saw firsthand, because my friends took pictures of me all, like, messed up on, you know, some muscle relaxers. It's like that's when I made the choice to say, oh, my gosh, that's the outcome when I do that. Fuck that. I'm never going to do that again. And then that's how I handled it.
Yeah, and when you talk about the outcome, if you talk worst case scenario, you and I both belong to an industry where it's common to fucking die from pills, right? Totally.
And that's what's scary, and that's what I didn't even know I had a problem until my friend showed me the picture, because I was like, you know, you guys aren't the doctor. There's a reason why the doctor, you know, keeps filling my prescription. So it was like, to me, because I was the known one to never have even, like, smoked pot ever, like, I didn't think I would ever, you know, have a problem. But then when I saw those pictures, I was like, whoa, that's fucked up. Like, that's really fucked up, because, you know what if next time I die?
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, that's, you know, so that's what made it your decision for you, you know, and that's basically what it's about. If somebody has a reason, then, and it's a big enough reason for them to stop doing whatever it is they're doing.
Totally.
And, you know what I mean? I mean, that's why there's, like, people that can, like, walk on hot coals and shit like that, because they have themselves, their mind is telling them they can do this. They can walk over fucking hot coals and it's going to be okay, and then they go and they do that. It's mind over matter, like the masturbator over here said, and
It totally is. No, I agree, because you know what? I even apply it to stupid things in my life. Like, if I accidentally, like, hit my elbow on something and it hurts really bad, I legitimately say out loud, it doesn't hurt, it doesn't hurt, it doesn't hurt. And then I'll tell people, too, I'll be like, dude, just tell yourself it doesn't hurt. Fuck that pain. It doesn't hurt. Fuck it.
Hey, you know,
and
when
sometimes
people really try to use their mind, and this isn't, you know, over their body, but it's over matter, everybody, even people that don't believe in like, mental abilities, when they're at a red light and they're in a hurry, green. Come on, green. Go
totally.
Green. Everybody. Shelley, I'm going to take some other calls. If you want to be on and hang out, you can. Otherwise, if you got to go, you got to go. But I can take up to, like, 5 calls at a time. So
well, you go do your thing. But I'm kind of, you know, unbeknownst to you, I'm kind of butthurt that I'm not invited over there with you guys. How come I'm not kicking you with you guys?
Come down next week.
But, yeah. We're going to do this. We're going to do this every Wednesday. So for sure. Next Wednesday, we're going to be talking about New World Order and U.S. government. And the next weekend is Halloween week. So I'm hoping Masters will share some of his haunted stories for Halloween week.
I'm gone. You know I'm staying.
Oh, that's right, dude. But
I'll be here next week, though.
You can call us.
Dude, that's freaking my holiday. You guys better not blow me off. I'm coming.
Okay, cool.
I would never blow you off.
That's what she said.
All right, well, hey, I got
well, you guys take it easy.
Florida, 352. I recognize that area code. Who dis, Freethinker?
Hey, guys, it's Steve.
Hey, what's up, Steve? Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I love the program. That's a great thing that she's doing for the cancer research and whatnot. That's commendable.
Yeah, I mean, I actually was like, I saw that online, and I was like really touched, like, wow. And I remember she had said something about that a long time ago about something, and I had forgotten. But, you know, I saw it that 50% of the proceeds in honor of Mrs. Rob Van Dam go to City of Hope. So I was like, wow. I think the information is also at my store, 5starcomics.com. It's like the same guy does like her stuff and mine, so he throws it together. But did you get the website, Chris Masters, from her? It was Shelley something?
Nah, we got to listen back. I don't remember. City of Hope?
Dude, and we can do that because they're archived. And guess what? They're also going to be available on podcasts, so people can listen to it.
So just listen to us again.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So
God bless her for doing that. But I got real quick. Chris Masters, you also wrestled under the name Chris Moore, correct?
Mordetzky.
Well, no, I did. I wrestled in Japan under Chris Moore.
Bastard.
Okay. I was actually deployed overseas. I think you and I met. I actually met you overseas when I was with the Navy. This is some time back, but I've got a real quick Chris Masters story if you'd like to hear it, RVD. He was actually a great guy. I met him face-to-face and in person.
That's cool. Let's hear it.
I was there. He was doing, real quick, he was doing some autograph signing, and, you know, I think everybody wants to get if you're meeting a boxer, you want to get a picture with him with his fist, and I asked him if he could give a picture with me in the Master Lock.
Master Lock, of course.
Of course, and I've still got it here, but the thing that was kind of weird is when I did it and he put me in the Master Lock, his cock was real hard. And he was rubbing up against me.
That is weird.
Chris, what was that all about, partner? Why'd you do that, bro? I mean, for God's sakes, I was only 19. What's going on with that?
That's actually quite normal.
You know what? Yeah, now that you mention it, he's got a hard on right now.
Yeah, you know, it happens spontaneous. I can't always control them. You know, it's an issue I've had for a while, but I apologize if you're offended in any way.
Well, Chris, I didn't say I disliked it. I just said that it happened.
Thanks for the call.
Your destination is RVD TV and
Whoa.
Whoa, Chris Masters. I think I read something this week with you, dog, in the Ultimate Warrior, didn't I?
Yes, indeed.
Dude, you did not hold back.
No, I didn't. I tell it like it is, Rob.
Aren't you afraid he's going to come after you and put you up in that gorilla press, dude, and drop you behind him and hit the ropes and do that big splash, dude? And
cover me for the 1, 2,
3. No fear?
No, you know, it hasn't even crossed my mind once, but, you know, whatever. I did the interview for Slam Wrestling, and I just told it like it is. You know, my integrity is very important to me, and I just wanted to, you know, it was disappointing to me, the whole experience with him. You know?
I know it was. We talked about it. My hat's off to you for being unfiltered. You know, the more you hang out with me, the more you're going to see that it's okay to just speak the truth. I like the guy. You know that I had nothing but a good experience, you know, with him. But yeah, dude, screw your balls out.
I respect that too. You having your just, you know, based off your experience. You know, I would never bash anybody. You know, there's a lot of people that I like that have beef with other people that I know, but, you know, I form my opinion off of, you know, what I know about the person or how they treated me. You know.
Your destination is RVD TV.
Oh, my God. You got to stop that. I'm getting scared. Okay, it's coming.
215, isn't that Baltimore?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Where's 215, yo?
Hey, Rob.
Yes.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Where is the area code 215?
That's Mike from over at MySpace. It's over 215 in Pennsylvania. I tried to call in last week.
Okay, yes, it is Pennsylvania. Mike from MySpace. What up, dude?
Yeah. Not much, man. I'm the guy who emailed you earlier in the week about the fact that you had...
Sound like a robot.
What's that?
Hi, go ahead.
Anyway, I just wanted to call in and say hi to you and Chris Masters.
Awesome, man. Yeah, well, we appreciate it, man. We're glad you're listening because the more listeners I get, the more likely I am to keep doing this and to put more energy into it, too. And really, I'm enjoying it. To tell you the truth, we only got 45 minutes remaining, dude. We got to talk to Chris Nowinski. We got to talk to Dr. Sean Stasiak. And we got to play the RVD TV clip. It's going too fast, man. Do we need 3 hours, Masters? What's up?
No, maybe just 4. Safe.
We can do it, yo.
We could go 4.
Yeah, all right, dude. Well, thank you very much for calling in. I'm going to take this one now. 281. That is Baltimore. No? Where's 281?
Hey, Rob?
Yes. How are you, free thinker? RVD radio listener. What's going on?
Say 281 is Sugarland. It's city
Texas.
right next to Houston.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that one from reading investment opportunities recently. That is a booming fucking town.
Yeah,
what's going on, dude?
It certainly is. Well, I just had 2 quick questions. I guess the first is about addiction, and I've been doing some research on the topic, and some people come across and say, as you get older, the immune system begins to weaken. What are your thoughts on that being a factor in people who are aging, making them more susceptible to addiction?
Well, here's the thing with that. That falls into more of a physical dependency category from my perspective, because yes, as we get older, of course our immune system is going to drop, our testosterone levels drop, our growth hormone levels drop. That's part of aging. We get our skin gets looser, our muscle quality, is less, and we get gray. It's all that's what aging is, And there is doctors right now that give you that can recommend and do growth hormone and testosterone. It's a legitimate medicine, and it actually is considered an anti-aging process. And they do that, and of course that's something people get addicted to, but the reason that I bring that up is because, yes, you can take medicines that can help you with the symptoms of aging. You can fight the symptoms of aging. You can even lie about your fucking birthday, but you're still going to get older. And while your immune system drops, of course you will be more susceptible to germs, viruses, any impurities that our world has to offer you. And if you can fight that off and you can take certain medicines that the doctor recommends that builds up your immune system, well then, whether you have to take it or not, why the fuck wouldn't you? I mean, if it improves the quality of your life that much, then why give yourself guilt over taking something like that that's all good? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, well, you said you had 2 questions?
Yeah, I had just a quick question for Chris. I just wanted to find out, Chris, have you ever worked in, outside of the WWE, have you ever worked in Puerto Rico, in the IWA or WWC?
Yeah, I worked in the WWC a couple of times over there, but I was kind of actually interested in that topic we were just talking about, and I'm glad Rob said that. I mean, not to completely switch topics, but I just want to add something. I think that was a good point to mention, because I think a good thing to say here is, we're talking about addiction and stuff, but it's not to paint everything out like it's bad. You know what I mean? It's about being open-minded towards stuff, but, also doing the research and knowing what you're getting yourself into when it comes to anything from marijuana to growth hormone or anything like that. But, anyways, I just wanted to throw that piece in there, but, I worked over in the WWC a couple times.
And do you see yourself working back in the Caribbean anytime soon, or?
Oh, I love going. I like going to Puerto Rico. So I mean, I haven't been down there in quite a while though. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess the reason I was asking was a buddy of mine just sent me some tapes, Caribbean matches, and I had seen a couple of your matches on there, and I wasn't aware that you had worked there. But I think from what I saw, you do have a pretty strong fan base down there. So
yeah,
I
well,
I was asking.
I like Puerto Rico. Rob, you like Puerto Rico?
You know what? That is one place that I've never been. Of course, I've gotten offers from.
Sure.
Yeah, I haven't been there. And the recent offers in out in my price range. Mexico's out in my price range. You know, I'm very selective about the bookings I'm taking. But
you never worked there for WWE? Because there was one of my favorite matches I ever had in WWE was with Carlito in San Juan, Puerto Rico with WWE. Obviously, it was sold out, and the way that place reacted to Carlito was amazing. It was
Carlito's dad actually called me recently. Do you think I should go to Puerto Rico?
I don't know if it's necessarily worth it to you, to be honest.
Right, yeah, but I have heard very good things about it, as far as wrestling tours go, because we're used to dealing with some crappy conditions, and I understand it's beautiful there, and you get to leave the hotel late, I guess, and I don't know, maybe the style is cool. I don't know, the Sheik, the original Sheik who trained me way back in 1989 told me don't ever go to Puerto Rico. Yeah, he had a bunch of enemies there and shit like that.
I've heard a lot of horror stories about Puerto Rico, but the 2 times, I went there about probably 3 times, I think. Once for WWE, twice Indies, and, it was nice. I took a walk on the beach. I really kind of liked it. It's very humid, around the, June and May and June and all that. Oof.
Yeah, right on. All right, well, I'm going to play this clip from a recent RVD TV episode, Chris Masters.
All right, I'm excited. This is my favorite part.
Well, you're going to especially like this one because the subject being the power of the mind. I went to Chris Nowinski, Harvard graduate who actually studies the brain. And he's a genius, and I figured that'd be a good guy. And so he sits in there with a third guest, a really good friend of yours, the Ultimate Warrior!
Oh, my God.
Serious. So sit back, relax, enjoy about 4 minutes and 20 seconds or so of this clip from RVD TV.
The power of the mind is incredible. Even when you talked about your martial arts instructor that said he could, grow roots through his feet. When I tore my bicep at WCW in '98, from the moment I did it, and I knew that I did, when I was hanging in the cage at that War Games event, I went into a positive frame of mind. I had already committed myself to have a match with Hogan, the worst match in professional wrestling history. Can you believe it? I had one of the most classic matches with Hogan at 1990 at the WrestleMania, but I had the worst match in wrestling with him, too, in '98 when I was at WCW. I immediately went into a positive frame of mind. I knew I tore my bicep. I looked at it. I saw that it was rolled up. I went and had the surgery on it, and the doctor said, you got to take 6-7 weeks off. On the plane flight home the next day, I was already working out with the rubber hose, and I was telling myself I could do it.
Right.
I said, yeah, I can't go in the gym and start doing 50-pound dumbbell curls, but I can work out with the rubber hose. I know I can handle it. And I was able to sustain, a decent amount of muscularity and body weight to go back and have the match. And a lot of people, there's records, there's histories, medical histories of people that have actually grown muscles or body parts back just from thinking positively, right?
Absolutely. And, I'm a big believer in the self-fulfilling prophecy. So if you tell yourself you're going to get healthy twice as fast, then you'll start doing the things and do the, it's not the destination, it's the journey.
Right.
Put it all together. That journey, if you work every day to get there, that's what will get you there. And I always have this argument with my girlfriend, because when you create self-fulfilling prophecies, they happen. If you think negatively, then bad things are going to happen, because every step you take, you expect that to happen and get there, and so you'll take the wrong steps.
Right, absolutely. I'm always the one, when I'm heading to the airport, and Sonia's really come a long way, but she used to be like, oh, you're going to miss your flight, and it's going to be cold there, you're going to bring a coat. I think the traffic's going to be great on the way there. I think they're great. I've always been like that. That's why a lot of people can't even be around me, because I've always been like that so much to drive some people nuts, But I had a different martial arts instructor that did this thing with a buddy of mine where he had him, put him in a trance, had him laying flat, and actually really had his shoulders and under his calves on a chair, and the rest of him was suspended. And he had this guy believing that he was stiff like a board, that he was in the trunk of a tree, and I stood on him, and he didn't bend. It was amazing.
Really?
Yeah, I honestly.
How high was he off the ground?
2 chairs. He was on the seat of the chair. And we kept sliding the chairs out while the guy's talking to him. He's in a trance. He's telling him he cannot bend. He's in this little log, inside of a log. It was incredible,
the guy that had to lay like a board had to have it in his mind.
Totally.
I mean, he couldn't have just been the instructor that was telling him he was like a board.
No, he got inside his mind and had him believe it. Totally. That's the point. And something I want to run by you. I was talking to Raven recently, right?
Oh.
And Raven. He says that he and his wife went on this crazy, seminar up in San Francisco where it had to do with like studying the mind, some kind of psychological journey. I don't know, but one thing he said that I can't shake because it was just so amazing, and I want to believe it. He said that he learned there that some people that have a split personality actually have been known to come out with the different personalities having different colors in their eye because the mind believes they're a different person so much that, I mean, does that sound right? Could it have
I need to see that stuff on film. You know what? I believe that people have incredible power to even go to a third plane of reality. I really do. I mean, I've done meditation to the point where I've had out-of-body experiences. But until I see somebody walk through a wall, like on the Tonight Show, you know, they got that kind of power, then it's hard for people to believe. And when you're talking about people changing their eye color, I mean, if they can, it seems like enough people have done it that we could get a recording of it. Man, that would convince me.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of truth to what we're talking about, but there's also a lot of people trying to make money off.
Yeah, so anyway, that was Chris Nowinski, the genius from Harvard. If you don't remember who Chris Nowinski is, this guy got into WWE through the Tough Enough, it was called. I don't know if it was the first season, one of them. He was one of the guys, and he always stuck out to the wrestlers as interesting because he graduated from Harvard, and he was so smart, you know, but he wanted to wrestle. And what happened in his very short career was that he got a concussion. He never recovered from it. I've gotten several concussions. I used to get one like every single night back in ACW. I knew it, you know, like when a chair shot was coming to the head, I was hoping they would be so loud. I wanted all the fans to be like, oh, my God, and know that they would never survive that because I was that tough. That was part of what I got out of being a performer. Like, fuck yeah, send it in there. I'm not putting my hands up. Boom! Sometimes the sound would go out. Sometimes everything would be in slow motion. Sometimes I just, boom, I feel like I was like sleeping, you know, and it was like really weird. And
sounds like you want to take a chair shot right now.
I could probably go for a chair shot. You know, it's been a little while. These chairs are not really built for it. But
by the time I had you chop me before the match in Spain.
Dude, that was awesome. That'd be a great soundbite because I lay it in.
Oh, yeah. We'll get it.
Anyway, Chris Nowinski got this concussion, and then he got these headaches that stuck around, and they never went away, and it ended his career. And I used to just think, well, you know, he's just not as tough or whatever. And now, after, you know, looking into some of the research and stuff, I realized, you know, I probably did some damage to my brain. I don't know about you, but I got a lot of friends that have no problem admitting with full acknowledgement, I know I got brain damage, because a lot of times I'll just like fade throughout the day, you know, or I'll get headaches, and you know, some of them are fighters, wrestlers, and that's just part of, you know, just like, yeah, that's cool. And you think, wow, you know, what could happen from that, you know? I mean, history has shown that it could end up pretty ugly, you know. But so that's who Chris Nowinski is, and after he left wrestling, he started the Sports Legacy Institute, and he'll tell us about that when he calls in a few minutes. But first, we're going to talk to Dr. Sean.
Hello, am I on?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are on RVD Radio, Mr. Dr. Sean.
Hey,
how are
thanks
you?
for having me on, RVD. I'm in the middle of my workout. I'm getting ready to jump on this treadmill, so I'm blowing up. I just had to walk up a flight of stairs, as you can tell. But,
wow, I can tell. Chris, you knew he was going up a flight of stairs, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we can hear it in your voice.
You sound blown up, brother.
Yeah, and by the way, sounds like you're carrying a little bit of water in your left rear delt. If you can maybe...
You know what? I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, maybe sit in the sauna.
How did you know I had salt in my watermelon last night, and I'm holding freaking water in my left shoulder? It's really pissing me off.
And you're just making me mad because you probably look a hell of a lot better than I do right now.
That's okay, man. Get that pissed off aggression and use it in your workout, motherfucker.
Yeah, that's right.
Go, man. So what's
up,
on?
Sean? Well, yeah, sit in the sauna like maybe an extra minute and 47 seconds. Take care of that shoulder. We're talking about addiction here at RVD Radio. I don't know if you know my stance. I don't know if you know my stance or not, Dr. Sean, but I was just explaining the word addiction is like thrown around. It's used, you know, to say like, oh my God, I'm addicted to jewelry. I got to keep buying it everywhere. I can't help it. and people just use that word. I think that doctors use it too, psychologists, pharmaceuticals use it, get you on drugs because they say, oh, you have a sickness, you're prone to this disease. And a lot of it's bullshit because the power of the mind can overcome everything. I know from firsthand experience, and I also can tell you a bunch of stories of other people. One story that I used earlier because she's very close to us, Tina, you know Tina, I think, Sean. She was Louis Spicoli's sister. For the longest time, she's talking about she needs to quit smoking. She's trying to quit smoking. She can't, and she's got herself convinced she's a victim and she can't quit smoking, and she's trying all this shit, to replace it and get off of it. And then what happened was she got pregnant. Boom! She never smoked a cigarette again. That was just because her brain said, hey, guess what? You do not want to light up a cigarette. That's all it was.
Well, I think that there's a physiological dependency on some drugs, like painkillers, for instance, that does have a physiological effect as well as psychological. I'm not going to get into marijuana because I don't know near as much about it as you would. I hear that there is more of a psychological addiction factor with marijuana. However, I do believe in the power of the mind, and willpower prevails over all. I think a lot of people have addiction because it's all psychologically based, whether it's sex, drugs, food, working out, any obsessive compulsive behavior, any kind of addiction, period, is an escape for the mind because it is avoiding something that it just has a hard time facing or dealing with, a stress response, if that makes sense. That's just my whole take on it. But at the end of the day, just like you said with Tina, she smoked cigarettes. Oh, I can't do it. I can't. Sure, there's a nicotine factor there in a physiological sense, but she had a baby, and it's like, oh, my God, her love and her care to be there for her child was overexceeded any kind of addiction, and she proved that. So that just shows the power of the mind. It's up to you to make up your mind what's important to you and what isn't. If that makes sense. Absolutely, and if she could do it, then anybody could do it. And I said firsthand that I know as well. I've never met a substance that was stronger than my own brain ever. And in all my years in wrestling, and I've had a lot of experience in my life. I've put just about everything into my body that I was ever really curious about. Not that I recommend that, learn from others. But, and by the way, that never included heroin, meth, or a gay penis. But my point is, I've never, ever not been able to stop doing anything. Whenever I wanted to stop doing it, I could always stop doing it, and I know everyone else could too. So that's what we're talking about. Thanks for your doctor's perspective. I know you got your show coming on after the presidential debate. So that'll be in 2.5 hours. Isn't that right, Dr. Sean? That's correct. I got to finish up my 40 minutes of cardio and 20 minutes in the sauna, so I got an hour of conditioning to do. So I'll be holding less water in my left shoulder as I do the show. So when you call in, guys, keep that in mind. And, I definitely want you. All right, well, listen, Sean. I know that you know an awful lot about the body and chemistry, and obviously, you also know a lot about nutrition. I want to ask you a question because I know that's more the topical stuff that you'll talk about on your show, and you're going to really break it down into different supplements and amino acids and all that. But here's something I want to know, because diet has not been my strong point. I've never really put that much into it. A lot of the other wrestlers, were always jealous because I'd go to Cracker Barrel and eat, whatever I wanted, biscuits and gravy. I was just going to point that out. I was going to say I know because I traveled with you, but for some reason you got away with it probably. All right, well, here's my question, though. One thing I lack in, seriously, is fruits and vegetables. I love fruits. I hate vegetables. I'm like a little kid, like I take I force feed little pieces. But my V8 juice says 1 full serving of fruits, 1 full serving of vegetables, right? Is that bullshit, or if I drink that, am I really getting, the nutrition? Rob, here's my whole take on fruits and vegetables. And Chris probably knows a lot about this, too, because, look at the guy's physique. He's obviously had to put a lot of hard work into it and has some knowledge, probably a lot of knowledge there. But my point is, with the whole fruits and vegetable issues, it's pretty simple in my view on it, is that you want to focus more on vegetables than you would fruits. Fruits you want to keep more at a minimum. There's different kinds of fruits to choose from. Your apples, your pears, your berries, blueberries, raspberries, strawberries. Are the more vibrant the color, the better, because that's the very mechanism that gives it its antioxidant properties, okay? Tropical fruits like watermelon, cherries, peaches,
those kinds of fruits are more on the higher glycemic index. They're okay to eat, but keep them more minimally. And if you're going to eat those, eat them more like first thing in the morning or right after a workout when your blood glucose or your glycogen levels are lower after you've exerted the glycogen in your workouts. When it comes to, carbohydrates are sugars no matter how you look at it, whether they're simple carbohydrates or complex carbohydrates. Complex carbohydrates are things like your rice, your potatoes, your pastas and breads, which I keep minimal. Your glycemic index, what that means is at the rate at which your carbohydrates are burning. So the slower the burn that they burn in your system, the better, because then and I'm probably getting a little bit too deep here, but your pancreas secretes insulin. Okay, you want that insulin secretion to be at a steady drip. So remember, table sugar all the way to broccoli is sugar, but it's just at the rate at which it burns. And so the problem with, and I'm going to get into this in my show tonight, is the epidemic of obesity in this country is basically it's not so much fat doesn't cause you to be fat. The studies are coming out all day long now that it's not fat that makes you fat. You see all these low-fat carbs and low fat, but no, carbohydrates is what's killing people. Okay, because what happens is when you
Sean, I'm gonna listen, bro. I am so lost that I'm still back at what?
Sean, hey, you know what? I wanted to actually throw in something on there. Hey, Sean, you know a lot. I can tell just by listening to what you're saying, and because I know a lot of this stuff. But what I'm thinking is, I know that, like, I was thinking that just now with Rob and the people listening, like, even when you're talking about glycogen levels, a lot of people are, like, will raise question marks in their head, like, they don't, like, they even need to be, like, if people will start losing you right there. But I knew exactly what you're talking about, and then when you kept going on, I was like, wow, I'm like, damn, you know what I mean? You really do know about it. But,
I'll keep it more simplistic, okay? Basically, you asked a question about, and I apologize, guys.
Don't apologize, Sean. To tell you the truth, I just wanted to show what you know, your knowledge, so people have an understanding of your understanding of the body. Your show is on in a couple hours. I'm going to let you work out, and I want people to know, call in, ask Dr. Sean whatever your questions are, because tell them, is it Blog Talk Radio / Dr. Sean? Is that what it is?
It's blogtalkradio.com/Ask Dr. Sean. But real quick, I want to just simplify your question. And it's going to bug me until I get this done before I hop on this treadmill. That is, the V8 stuff, it's better than drinking soda pop, okay, or some kind of cheesy juice. It's okay, but I would still recommend you to get your fruits and vegetables from pure sources, real fruit, real vegetable. Keep your fruit to a minimum and stick to your carbohydrates, fibrous carbs, steamed vegetables, broccoli, and leafy greens. That's that simple.
How about some asparagus for that rear delt? It helps you shed water, right?
And Chris, it'll only work on the left shoulder water. For the right shoulder water, you're going to have to
Sean, you're awesome. You have no idea how much you know, and I'm serious. All this education that you have now, and you have no idea what you have to offer. But you're showing the world what you have to offer. I hope everybody calls in, and you've been a reference for me for a long time. I've been asking you, what to eat, and for me and for Sonia too. So good luck on your show. I got a caller from 617, and is this possibly the genius Chris Nowinski?
It possibly might be, and I understood everything that John was talking about.
I have no doubt that you did.
Well, listen, I want to say hi to Chris. Chris, I would like to have you on my show maybe next week, so let's talk.
For sure, man. What's going on? How you been?
Great, and
he's going, oh shit, I met Chris Nowinski, not Chris Masters.
That's right, I forgot I have two Chris's here. Chris Masters, you're more than welcome to be on the show.
I thought that was Nowinski, actually.
Hey guys, let me point something out. Shut up or I'll mute all of you. Not only is it two Chris's, but I think that if I'm not mistaken, we're all Poles. Are we not all Polish in here? We got Mordetzky, we got Nowinski, we got Zakowski, and what is Stasiak if you're not Polish?
Stasiak is Polish.
There you go. That's a hell of a commonality, but okay, there you go.
What do you
got a new faction.
Chris Nowinski, you said that you don't really have much time, so I don't exactly know what that means, but I'm glad you called in, brother.
Well, I got one thing to ask you guys. Chris Nowinski, all you guys.
Ask it, Dr. Sean.
What do you call Peter Pan that flew over Poland?
Don't know.
Time's up. Peter Pansky. Now I got to go.
Thank you.
That was so funny. I will never reuse it.
But, smart nutrition.
Yeah, stick with nutrition, and we'll leave the comedy to RVD, and we'll get to that too. But all right, Chris Nowinski, man, I put you over huge, Harvard graduate.
I appreciate it, Rob. Well, you are my favorite person in the whole wide world because I think you're the most talented person in the world. How's that for putting me over?
Okay, you win. I didn't exactly quite go that far. But mine was rightfully deserved the way I put you over, because you're a Harvard graduate, you're so smart, dude, and you wanted to wrestle, and we all thought that was so crazy. Like, why does he want to be in the ring taking body slams? This guy could be a doctor or whatever, you know. But you had some kind of passion, some kind of love for it, and it was kind of like a short career. But since then, man, you have really been productive with the Sports Legacy Institute, and I would imagine you probably feel like you're serving a better cause, don't you?
Yeah, no, I think entertainment's wonderful, and I loved performing for people, but yeah, I think...
I like porno.
But I think it's a higher purpose to, it's good to, actually be able to say we're saving lives.
Just because you're hung like a moose doesn't mean you got to do porn.
I'm sorry, that was rude. You were saying?
No, it's great. I'm glad you sound effects. I love it.
I love sound effects.
I love sound effects. It's nice to know.
So,
we had our fundraiser last week with Jesse Ventura. Came in the keynote speech for free. Gave a keynote speech for free because he appreciates what we do. And I drew the analogy to smoking. What we're doing with this brain research is the first days of smoking research, where in 1950 they didn't know that smoking caused lung cancer, and it took a long time for them to figure it out, but a lot of people had died before they got the word out.
Wow. So how did the fundraiser go? Was it awesome?
It was totally awesome. You were recognized by the doctors for being one of the people who's offered to donate his brain should something go wrong at some point. Hey,
dude, wouldn't that be weird? Like, we're talking about this right now, and then what if they tune in next week and I'm dead and you're studying my brain and we just talked about that? Isn't that weird? Wouldn't that be weird?
That'd be really weird.
People don't like it when I get people go, ooh, don't say that. That's the only reason that I said that. But I was telling people, Chris, about the power of the mind, and too, you've said that in this piece of RVD TV that I played, Ultimate Warrior turned to you and said, there's been evidence that people have grown muscles back and stuff through having their mind on positive energy, and you agreed with them and said, yeah, is that true?
I think a positive. The studies have shown that a positive outlook and believing you will heal from injury does help. There are certain limits to the power of the mind. I remember the interesting conversation we had about the Warrior said about people that could fly.
Your destination is RVD TV and RobSM.com.
I didn't even need a soundbite for that one, dude. I just pulled that out.
Oh,
it's smashed.
More Ultimate Warrior, please.
He is so sick of it. I used to see the look on his face, dude. That made it worth it. I don't know. I never seen that look before. Does your girl see that look a lot? Because I never seen that. You were just.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, stop it. Okay. Yeah. So.
Damn Warrior.
So, Chris Nowinski, you hear that? That was awesome. That was not a sound effect either. I actually broke some glass. We're breaking glass here, yo. This is sweet. The brain research that you have done has been, I believe, on football players, boxers, wrestlers. What is there more? Or you're drawing this correlation with the brain damage because they all had a lot of similarities. And they acted uncharacteristically on their last few days, and they got paranoid, depressed, suicidal. What's up with that?
Yeah, it was actually the last few years of their life, some from 5 or 8 years, that people could recall their memory deteriorating pretty quickly, and them being depressed, and them becoming extremely emotionally unstable. So that's what we're seeing, and then what we find in the brain is just an immense amount of brain cell death. That actually a protein accumulates and chokes off the energy supply for cells, and they die. And it looks similar to Alzheimer's disease because it's the same protein that you find there. So it really sucks.
Yeah.
And
as much as you've been studying, I really don't know how many brains you've looked at. I know you've looked at a couple of my friends' brains, and I know also that although it was the Chris Benoit case that really blew, I think they really awoken people up to the SLI. I think that before that, even though people didn't know about it, that this was being done, you had already written a book about it, and you'd already been pretty far into comparing all these commonalities, and he just kind of fit the pattern, right?
Yeah, I mean, what happened, I wrote the book, Head Games, that came out in October of 2006, and there were 2 studies of NFL players that I interviewed the doctor about, and then I was involved in 2 more within 6 months of the book coming out. And then I realized the research was so valuable, so I said we should do this through a nonprofit and we should do this with a university affiliation and then really pull in more researchers. And 10 days after we incorporated the Sports Legacy Institute, that's when Chris, killed his family and himself. And, he had told me about all his concussions, and I just knew, that was what we were trying to prevent, is get the awareness out there. If you have these symptoms, get this person under medical care. You have them watched. And we were just kind of too late to get that awareness out there for the Benoit family.
Right on. Yeah. Well, I mean, I actually, obviously I think that this is extremely important, all of this research. I'm very curious about my own brain. And I've asked you if there was a way to study my brain now while I'm alive. And at the time you had said, unfortunately not. But since then, you said the WWE actually somehow they started some program that tested for concussions. I think you said it was some kind of triangulation system where they would be tested for memory, and if they had a concussion, they would have to score the same as they did before the concussion, before they could get back in the ring, something like that. And I don't know if you know, but is that still going on?
Sure. Well, what you're talking about is an acute concussion management protocol. What we were talking about with checking out the actual status of your brain now as someone who's been competing for 20 years or so is that test can't be done. You can't look inside and see if this protein is there yet. But with what WWE is finally doing, which they very quietly announced because they didn't want to draw the connection between the Benoit situation and them actually starting to care about concussions, but they're doing computerized neuropsychological testing. Basically means everybody has a baseline memory, a baseline reaction time, baseline cognitive skills, and when you get a concussion, almost every time that will drop, and drop noticeably, especially to a sensitive computerized test. And so the idea is your brain is vulnerable to further damage if you are active, whether you're wrestling or even working out or even studying hard if you're a student. You're vulnerable if you haven't recovered to that baseline level. But once you've recovered, it's supposed to indicate that your brain is safe to start taking more hits again and be stressed out.
Wow. Okay. So this was all initiated after the waves that were made from Chris Benoit's dad saying, "Yeah, take a look at my son's brain," and then discovering there was damage there. It was after that WWE at first denied that could have had anything to do with it. It was bullshit, no evidence. They were barking up the wrong tree because they felt like somehow that was going to imply that it was their working conditions if it was brain damage that caused that, and then they ended up initiating this program. Am I right?
You're absolutely right, Rob. You're very much on top of this. I actually, since I retired in 2000, my last match was in 2003, and obviously the best wrestler to ever go down from concussions is Bret Hart. When I learned about these programs being out there in 2004 and 2005, and when I was still working for the company as a spokesman for SmackDown Your Vote and other things, I brought the information to them, and I said, look, you want to have this program. You do not want to lose a great wrestler, somebody of Bret Hart's status because they went back from a concussion too early. They go back and get another one, and somehow it may end their career. Brett's problem was biggest problem was he probably wrestled for a few weeks after his concussion. I know my problem was I wrestled for 5 weeks when the test would have said it definitely should have been back in there. And
wow,
so
yes.
They couldn't even do it. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that it sounds like this actually could prevent some future damage. It sounds like a really good thing.
I remember having to go to work, actually. I got a concussion on a Monday, and I felt the symptoms Tuesday and Wednesday, and I was back to work that Friday. So this is actually important stuff,
Yeah, absolutely. I've had concussions in the ring where I had enough sense to know where I was, but I had lost physical control of my body. This happened a lot, hitting the back of the head, and I lose my equilibrium. I know I got to stand up. I know I want to kick this guy, but I have no equilibrium. I'm trying so hard to get to my feet, and it's dangerous at that point because everybody's watching me, and I'm going to throw some wild-ass kick and that I don't have control over and feel bad about it, afterwards. But that's when you put on the moment and you have to decide to do something. And whew, I've had that happen so many times. So I won't be surprised if you find some broken neurological pathways up there if you ever have the honor of looking at my brain. And then you can say, and then I want you to also tell everybody what the brain cell account is compared to normal non-pot smoking activity.
I was just going to say, how are they going to get to your brain? They got to get through all the THC first. That's going to take quite a while.
Oh, indeed. So, Chris, I got some callers. I'm going to go to one of these calls. If you want to hang out, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, if you got to go, then I understand.
I want to know what your fans want to know, so I'm going to stick around another 5 minutes before I have to head off and go check out a movie.
Hey, are you going to go see Religulous?
Yes, I am. How'd you know?
Dude, that's so awesome. I saw it. I brought that up earlier. I saw that a couple days ago, and I was endorsing the thought-provoking nature of doing that movie. A lot of people refuse to see it. I'm sure it's, there's picketers and there's theaters that won't show it. And it's provoking thought. And, I mean, thinking is good. You're expanding your brain by doing any thinking. And to think outside the box is really putting some effort into it. I got a caller from area code 718, which I believe is New York. It's New York. 718. Speak to me.
Yo, can you hear me?
I hear you, Harry Slash. What's up, brother?
What's up, my brother?
Are you listening in? Have you heard the whole show? Fucking awesome.
I tuned in the last hour, and I've just been fascinated by what you guys have been talking about, especially what Chris was talking about.
RVD, motherfucker!
Yeah, dude, it's been a good show. And I got Chris Masters here, which is awesome because he's hanging out and he's able to talk to you. And I got Chris Nowinski on the line. And, yeah, I'm sure you might know a little something. Being in the music industry, you might have an opinion about addiction.
An addiction happens when someone is lacking something within themselves and they're trying to replace it with various substances and what have you. Other times an addiction happens out of pure boredom, where people in my industry are on the road, much like people in your industry. You could end up on the road and only see your family like 3-4 times in like a 2-month period of time. And you've got so many hours to kill in between shows that you end up, experimenting and partying, and the next thing you know is you're carrying a monkey around on your back.
Wow, that was well put, my friend.
It's still something that you definitely, your mind has the ability to overcome without drugs, counteracting drugs from the pharmaceuticals to pay a bunch of bullshit money, and even without therapy. And I don't mind therapy. I mean, if that is a way of growing, no doubt about it. I think that it's taken advantage of. It's prostituted like a motherfucker, and people think they need it, and they pay people that are just fucking people to actually hear them talk about their lives. And a lot of these people are people that you shouldn't be talking to. And yes, I do know that from experience. But so addiction, when it comes to our industries, people use that to replace something else. So then once to get that out of their lives, couldn't they just easily replace that with something positive?
They can very much, and my history. Years and years ago, I was one of the most hardcore coke addicts there was. And one night I realized I was living my life inside of a little amber bottle, and that was over 20 years ago that I put it down and never went back. I didn't go to any rehab or any therapy or anything like that. I won't say I was a casual user. I was a hardcore addict, for crying out loud. But I'm one of the few, much like yourself, that, when a situation presented and it's time to flush something down the toilet, you can flush it down the toilet and never go back.
Which is literally what I did with Somas, which is the #1 drug that has killed all of our friends.
Chris, Masterpiece. Harry Slash, the guy I'm talking to right now, he did the music back in the original ECW days. He did all of our ring music. He did the ECW songs. And also when you watch the video that plays at robvandam.com and it shows the RVD TV video that comes up automatically, Harry Slash did that as well. So I've known him for a long time, since 1996. That's 12 years. That's a long time.
Yeah.
And back in the day, back in the old ECW, I bet you if you really think hard, Harry, and you close your eyes and really, really concentrate, you could probably remember one or two nights when I was a little fucked up on some kind of intoxication.
Oh, yeah, I've got vague memories of those nights.
Hey, I've got RVD stories, and I wasn't even with you, and you didn't even tell me.
I've got a few private stories of when I took the Van Dams through.
Well, of all the name.
Hello?
Yeah, that was just Fred Flintstone. Don't worry about him. Yeah,
okay.
I know. You walked me back to my room a few times, and honestly, that became such a big part of my life that I could easily call it a habit. Easily, because every day I would look forward to taking pills, a bunch of pills. I mean, and, you know, not that it matters right now for the sake of this, but there was a time when it could have been anything, and I'd swallow it and ask you later, what was that? Is it okay to mix that with a morphine and a Valium and 2 Vicodin and 3 Somas? There was a time when I was really bad like that. A lot of our brothers have not made it to, October 15th, 2008, that I partied with a lot. And it was easily something that I could call a habit because I counted on doing it every single day. But when it was time to not do it, boom, I didn't do it. You know why? Because I didn't fucking want to.
Yeah, but there was also a little X factor within ECW, and I don't mean the wrestling X factor. I mean the fact that the ECW's greatest legacy is that nobody ever died while they were working for the company.
Really? Not even, I don't know, Rick Rude had gone on to WCW, huh?
Nobody has died. Nobody ever died when working for the original ECW.
Holy shit, that's true? That's
yes.
amazing.
After they left, Louis, God rest his soul, passed away when he was in WCW and so on and so forth. The thing with ECW and that particular locker room and that group of people is we knew some people were out of control, but everybody watched out for each other. And everybody, like, if you were getting a little too heavy into it, there were a lot of times where the boys would get together and say, hey, man, you better cut back. It's starting to affect your work. It's starting to affect you as a person.
Yeah, no shit. And, wow, that is an amazing fact. I'm glad you brought that up. That's actually a really positive thing. Something that I want you to know.
RVD TV watchers have complete unlimited access to the Extreme Archive Vault containing every episode ever fucking filmed.
Wow, how'd you pull that off?
Yeah, brother, we're running out of time here, man. Tell you what, I got a few calls here. I'm going to see if I can put them all on because 718, that's you, 617, that's Nowinski. Even though you hadn't said anything, I forgot you were on the line.
Well, I was listening. I was very interesting. I was never part of the original ECW, and I never really got into drug use, so it's interesting to hear your perspectives on it.
Well,
but you were a big fan of RVD's when you were a little kid, probably.
Oh, huge. Unbelievable.
Of course. I'm going to put some other callers on the line, too. I got a 281, which we decided earlier. I think that was New York, and 413, which, again, calling back for a second time and getting through because he knows people. He's got friends in high places. Officer Keenan. What's up, dude?
What's up, guys?
Isn't this show awesome? We only got 2 minutes left, and that sucks. I'm having fun. I don't know about you guys.
Hey, does Nowinski still go to Magoo's Pizza in Cambridge?
Oh, pardon me?
Do you still go to Magoo's Pizza in Cambridge?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Hey, say hi to the Greeks. I went to high school with those guys and own it.
All right, I will. That's a good spot.
Good spot. Hey, here you go, right, buddy? Men and women drink because they like the effect produced by alcohol. The sensation is so elusive that while they admit it is injurious, they cannot, after a time, differentiate between the truth and the false. You got that?
Dude, that sounds pretty good, man. That sounds pretty good, man. Thanks for bringing that up.
Mental obsession followed by a physical craving.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, Officer Keenan, we've only got 1 minute left.
See you later, man.
I got someone from 281 on the line if you want to shout at us real quick.
Hey, Rob. Thanks again for taking my call. Just had a question for Chris Nowinski.
Make it quick.
Was it ever a option for you to create like a varsity club faction when you were wrestling on Raw?
What the fuck? What the fuck is that?
Everything that guy just says is bullshit. Thank you.
Boom. Awesome. All right. Well, listen, man, it's been a great fucking show. I hate to call it quit, but they're going to cut me off here. Come back next week, and we're going to have this downloaded by thousands of people, guys. So I appreciate your participation. This was an awesome show. Next week, we're going to be talking about how fucked up the U.S. government is. We're going to be talking about the New World Order. And, I haven't called him yet, but I'm going to see if Kane will come on because he's the first one. Him and Val Venus both.
We need Kane and Val Venus on the show.
Dude, they're libertarians like a motherfucker.
Oh, I'm ready. Hey, it'll be fun. Hey,
Richard, still
here.
Yeah, what up, Sonia? Sonia's doing great. It's the end of the show. I got to put you out with my kick-ass song because I want you to sing it for the rest of the night. So here it is. See you next week. Officer Keenan, Chris Nowinski, Chris the Masterpiece Mordetzky, Dr. Sean, everybody on RVD Radio. This was a kick-ass fucking show.
Drop that down!